So change appetite. I'm going to be really intentional about this. Pause with me for just a second and tell me if you've ever heard or used the phrase change tolerance. We've heard change tolerance, we've used change tolerance. I find that the word tolerance carries more baggage than is necessary. So I'm actually using the word change appetite really intentionally. Now, your appetite for change can be adjusted by the things that are going on around you. And your appetite for change is as variable, frankly, as your appetite for pizza. Now, there are some of us who believe that it's always time for pizza, and maybe you're always hungry for pizza, but there are other moments where you've had, plenty of slices today, and one more slice isn't necessary. So it is with our appetite for change. And I really would encourage you to switch that word. So if you're using change tolerance as a simple fix, stop using change tolerance and use change appetite, because your appetite for change will change. It is variable, it can be adjusted, and I encourage you to recognize that in others as well. So let's look at some examples. What's an example of someone who has a large change appetite? So in our picture here, we've got a large change appetite. I'm hungry for it, bring more change on. And then we've got someone with a smaller appetite saying, please, slow down, maybe a little bit less. What are some of the things that cause that? So we can recognize this in the level at which they change their career choices. Sometimes you can recognize it in geographical mobility or focused movement. This doesn't have to mean whether they move all the time. It could also mean, especially in March of 2021, it could refer to how often they get outside their own home, honestly, or their own household. In this moment, their routine, how varied or stable is it? Their new situations, how comfortable are they, or do they prefer familiar situations? Do they lead the charge for change and say, let's do it just because we can, let's change for change's sake? Or are they defending the legacy? Hey, it's been good to do this. It's been good to have this as a response. This is our preference. So really thinking through those change appetites, you can recognize that people would have different appetites at different times. I was brought in once to work with a stakeholder on a project team, and this particular person had been really good with change in the past, and we were at a moment where she was expressing some resistance. She was being kind of frustrated, a little bit negative, a little bit resistant to some of the things that we were trying to implement, and it seemed out of character for her. And so as a change coach on that project, I got to spend some time with her and tried to figure it out. And part of why I was talking to her was because this seems out of ordinary for you. It seems unusual. And as we dug deep, we figured out that, in fact, it didn't take a lot of digging, but we had to dig outside of work. In this particular case, this woman had, in the last couple of weeks, just prior to this, her oldest child had left home, had moved away to college out on their own space across the country. And her mother-in-law had moved in with her permanently. So let's talk about that for just a second. The changes that happen in a person's life and in their household and in their everyday life impact their ability to tolerate, to have an appetite for, to embrace, to champion, to drive change at work. So what's the tip out of this? The tip is to start recognizing someone's change appetite. Was it historically great and now it's lower? Figure out what's going on and how can you adjust it. Was it historically lower and you're about to ask them for a change? Embrace it. Let's talk about their appetite and what can you do to make this change more appealing for them. When we recognize an individual's change appetite, we can then connect with that individual, that stakeholder, regardless of whether it's a high appetite or a low appetite. If it's a high appetite, great, capitalize on that and let them help champion the change with others. If it's a smaller appetite, great, connect with them and help them through that process and help them connect and let them feel your human connection with them.